Welcome, future educators, to This Explainer. I am so excited to be your instructional coach today. We're going to take a look at Competency 002, Descriptor G, and honestly, we're going to take it from being just this dry line of text on a syllabus and turn it into a completely vibrant, essential tool for your future teaching toolkit. So, let's jump right in.
Picture this. You're standing in your future classroom. You've just kicked off your brand new music unit, and suddenly a hand shoots up in the back row. Your student looks you dead in the eye and asks, "Why are we learning about old Tejano and folk music?" It's a great question, right? But here's the thing. If you don't have a compelling answer ready to go, you're going to lose them instantly. Well, Competency 002G gives you the absolute perfect answer. It's the why behind the what.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover the classroom connection, decoding Competency 002G, music in practice, reflecting on student impact, and finally, keys for future teachers.
Okay, Section 1, the classroom connection. Let's talk about why this actually matters to the kids in your room.
Here's exactly what you tell that student who raised their hand. Music helps tell the story of Texas and the United States. You see, you remind them we aren't just memorizing notes on a page here. We're learning about who we are. Teaching music is literally teaching history, migration, struggle, joy, and cultural influence all wrapped into one. When you look at it that way, you're not just a teacher, you are a storyteller.
Moving on to Section 2, decoding Competency 002G. Let's break down the actual text.
So, this is the exact wording you're going to see on your certification materials. Identifies and describes how music reflects the heritage of the United States and Texas. The big takeaway here, as a beginning teacher, you've got to thoroughly understand these cultural influences yourself before you can pass them on to your students. You can't guide them to see these connections if you haven't mastered them first, right? So let's build up that academic vocabulary you're going to need.
First up is folk music. Now, as you're building your mental dictionary for the exam, remember that folk music is all about that generational passing of tradition. We're talking about the music sung on front porches, out in the fields, around living rooms, passed down from grandparent to child. It doesn't come from some fancy commercial recording studio. It's born straight from the daily lives of everyday people.
Our second key term is regional music. This one links the sounds directly back to the physical geography of Texas and the U.S. I mean, think about it. The landscape and the environment completely shape the people who live there, which naturally shapes the music they make. The music bouncing around the Texas Hill Country just sounds fundamentally different than the music from the Gulf Coast or the piney woods of East Texas. And finally, we have cultural influence. You need to deeply understand this one because it's the foundational force shaping both the folk and regional music we just talked about. It's the impact a culture has on traditions, beliefs, and artistic expression. When diverse groups of people settled in Texas and the U.S., they didn't just leave their cultures at the door. No way! They wove them right into the fabric of their new homes. And music? Well, that's often the most audible proof of that influence. All right, Section 3, music in practice. Let's picture what this actually looks like when you're teaching. In your actual lesson plans, you're going to take all this theory and apply it by having your students examine the specific cultural contributions to 4 rich traditions: Texas folk music, country music, blues, and Tejano music. Imagine bringing an old blues track into class and really unpacking the African-American cultural influences and historical struggles that created that exact sound. Or playing an upbeat Tejano song and breaking down the mix of influences. Like, did you know the iconic Tejano accordion was actually brought over by German and Czech immigrants settling in South Texas? That is how you show your students that cultures don't just sit side by side, they blend together to create something totally new. It's a real game changer for making the standard come alive.
So let's bridge that gap between the academic expectation and your day-to-day instruction. When the exam asks if you can reflect the heritage of the U.S. and Texas, your brain should immediately picture the reality. Your students, sitting in your classroom, actively examining the cultural contributions in a Tejano or blues lesson. That right there is the translation from abstract theory to successful classroom practice.
Section 4, reflecting on student impact. Let's talk about validating identities. I want you to take a second to really visualize your future students. Imagine a kid engaging with Tejano or blues or old Texas folk tunes and having this sudden realization that their very own family's cultural background is a celebrated, vital piece of the Texas story. When you teach this competency effectively, you are validating who they are. You're showing them that history isn't just something that happened to other people, it's a tapestry their ancestors actually helped weave. And let me tell you, that is a deeply powerful, culturally responsive teaching moment.
Finally, Section 5, Keys for Future Teachers. Let's lock in those exam takeaways. Okay, the crucial point you absolutely must remember for the test is twofold. First, our music directly reflects our incredibly diverse cultural heritage. It's like the audible fingerprint of our history. And second, teaching this musical heritage, it's not just some optional add-on. It is an absolutely indispensable part of a comprehensive music education. So, if you spot a question on the exam asking about the primary purpose of teaching regional music, you want to zero in on the answer that highlights cultural diversity and historical heritage. I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What will this look like when you are teaching your own students? Are you going to be the teacher who just hits play on a song? Or are you going to be the educator who unlocks the rich, cultural story behind the music? Keep that question front and center as you keep preparing. You've got the vocabulary, you know the practical application, and you definitely have the why. You are well on your way to becoming an incredible, culturally responsive educator. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, best of luck on your journey to the classroom.